And somehow in the craziness of these times, it amazes me to be able to find words from Suzuki Roshi and find words from Sekito from 8th century Japan, China, and Dogon words and koans, and this is, I never used to like this stuff, but now it just delights me. There's these strings of wisdom and compassion that arise just in this very moment, and I hope they help me. I hope they help you, and I hope that in some way I'm able to help us all sit down on this earth and to keep remembering what's true. To stand up, deep place of affirming a vow, wanting to live our life deeply and truly, and to know that it's happening all over. We're just this one little pod, but the churches and mosques, and I really, it happens in secular places, but I really do have this feeling of, we all know religious institutions have their own confused history. And there's also something true about words that have been passed along when we sit deeply, when we live deeply, that reassure me. So what we've many of you know, we've been studying the Sandokai and branching streams flow in the darkness. And it just so happened, synchronistically, miraculously today, that we landed on a little talk that's a talk that he gave between talk 11 and 12 about Zazen. Thank you, Suzuki Roshi. Thank you, Universe, for bringing us this little talk. So I thought that I would offer it. It's an interesting little talk. So I want to do a little commentary, and then I want to flow out of it. Some thoughts. You should sit with your whole body, your spine. Can you feel your spine? Your mouth. Your toes. He doesn't say your toes, he says toes. Toes. Mudra. Mudra is left hand rests lightly and the right hand fingertips touch, and he'll bring it up again. It's called the cosmic mudra. And the feeling is that you're holding something very precious. I like to think about holding the earth. Sometimes people also say, set your mind in your mudra, because if your mudra starts to collapse, probably your mind is also you're getting a little uptight or a little, and you can tell a lot by being aware of what's happening in your mudra. He says each part of your body should practice Zazen independently or separately. Your toes should practice Zazen independently, and your mudra should practice Zazen independently, and your spine and your mouth should practice Zazen independently. You should feel each part of your body doing Zazen independently. What's that feel like right now? Spine completely being spine. Toes completely toes. Mouth. Ears. Heartbeat. Each part of your body should participate completely in Zazen. Check to see that each part of your body is doing Zazen independently. This is also known as Shikantaza, which is just sitting. To think, I am doing Zazen, or my body is doing Zazen, is the wrong understanding. It is a self-centered idea. How could you sit Zazen without your mouth and your spine and your toes and your belly and your veins? I mean, if nothing else, it brings us back to gratitude. You think you're in charge? This whole body is here cooperating, supporting. Wow, you could just meditate on that all day. Thank you, mouth, for being mouth. Thank you, this very life, for being life and alive. And he says the mudra is especially important. I'm not very good at this. You should not be resting your mudra on the heel of your foot. It has its own position. So maybe it rests a little on your foot. It's also completely your mudra. Says don't move your legs for your own convenience. Your legs are practicing your own zazen independently and are completely involved in their own pain. So when I began sitting and still in Zen places all over, there is you know, if you sit on a cushion cross-legged, you probably are going to run into more pain than you are in a chair. Although I don't know that because I'm still stubbornly so happy sitting on my little cushion. But if you sit in a chair, and you sit all day, you're going to experience discomfort. So how do you be with it? How do we be with discomfort and pain? This is a really important point of practice. How do you meet it with curiosity? How do we meet it with kindness? How do we meet it with, there's a way you can grind through these things. You can fit your jaw. You can practice taking breaths in the middle of it. And if there's discomfort, how can you send kindness to the sensations? And if it feels like you're not taking good care of your body, like it could do damage, I know lots of people from the early days and probably still who damage their bodies sitting through pains. How do you know? When do you need to move? This is a really important point. Begin by taking 3 breaths. So that if you do move, you're not moving out of reactivity or fear or get me out of here. You take 3 breaths and your body's still saying, there's something going on here that you should pay attention to. Then with mindfulness, move. Take care of yourself, which is taking care of the whole world. If you think that you have some difficulty in some part of your body, then the rest of your body should help the part that is having difficulty. You are not having difficulty with some part of your body, but the part of the body is having difficulty. And your whole body should help. Okay. Don't turn away. And don't get caught. The entire universe is doing Zazen in the same way that your body is doing Zazen. When all parts of your body are practicing Zazen, then that is how the whole universe practices Zazen. Each mountain is standing and each river is flowing independently. All parts of the universe are participating in their practice. The mountain practices independently, the river practices independently. Thus, the whole universe practices independently. If, when we get caught up in some thought pattern or some uncomfortable emotional turning, some pain in the hip, we can, as we all know, perseverate. Like the whole world gets very narrow. When we sit with the whole body helping, and the whole body of everybody in this room, you find a way to sit stable and upright, it's going to help the person next to you. And if the person next to you moves with awareness, it will help you know when it's time for you to move and how to take care of yourself. And when we take care of each other and this room, we are also taking care of the bamboo, and the rain, and the town of Sebastopol, and wherever you are, and the whole world. How do we each be completely just this person sitting upright and aware that it is so much more than that? And as we attend to and take care of toes, how do you do it, toes? I just had this thought of all the little toes in the world. Somebody's paying attention to toes, you know, it's like you can roll this out. When you see something, you may think you are watching something outside yourself, but actually, when you are watching your mudra or your toe, it is the whole universe. You should do Zazen with this feeling of your practice. You should not say, I practice Zazen with my body. I am practicing Zazen. It is I am sitting Zazen with and for the entire. So then I thought, I want to read you Maylie Scott's prayer for peace. Parts of it, I'm going to leave parts of it out, but I wanted to bring forward parts because I think Maylie Scott's saying the same thing, just really different language. May I be well, loving, and peaceful. May my toes be well. No, she didn't say that. May all beings be well, loving, and peaceful. May I be at ease in my body, feeling the ground beneath my seat and feet, letting my back be long and straight. Hi, spine, how you doing? Enjoying breath as it rises and falls and rises. May I know and be intimate with body-mind, whatever its feeling or mood, calm or agitated, tired or energetic, irritated or friendly. Can you imagine being intimate with irritated or agitated? And know that it's your body, but it's so much more than your body, and that actually is touching irritated body minds all over the whole world, the whole universe. Like, wow, take care of yourself. take care of this self. May I know and be intimate with body, mind, whatever its feeling or mood, calm or agitated, tired or energetic, irritated or friendly, breathing in and out, aware moment by moment of the risings and passings. May I be attentive and gentle towards my own discomfort and suffering. May I be attentive and grateful for my own joy and well-being. Skipping a little bit. And Mayli says, may I recall the Bodhisattva of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, her 1,000 hands, her instant readiness for action, each hand with an eye in it, the instinctive knowing what to do. She closes with, may I continually cultivate the ground of peace for myself and others, and persist, mindful and dedicated to this work, independent of results. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. Avalokiteshvara, you know the image of Avalokiteshvara, I think, with 1,000 hands and eyes, and each hand with an eye in it, and sometimes the image, there's a tool in each hand, and the instinctive knowing what to do. I think it's a little bit, to make a bridge here, is like toes. Knee, elbow. It's like they're all part of this amazing, alive, energetic body that we is, and that the knee has its own eye in it because of its kneeness. The knee knows what to do if we take care of it. And so do elbows, and it just all moves. Well, in harmony, usually, unless something happens, and then we start paying attention to it, and then we learn lots of things because we need to take care of that, which is also, I think, the way it is in the world. It feels like it's all going along in harmony, and then all of a sudden it's like, why does it feel like all the arms are all tangled up and the eyes aren't open, and what in the world is happening here? But you know what? Avalokiteshvara's hands and eyes are alive. And nothing can ever change that. It's just, how do we keep coming back into relationship, which is Zazen body, which is Zazen life, which is, in my language, vowing life. So I love the image of Avalokiteshvara, that each one of us are one of her hands and eyes. 100,000,000 hands and eyes, all trying to learn how to work together. We need to sit in the center of it over and over and wake up and come back. Because when I'm here, I hope it's okay. Beth just told me a story of I'll probably only get it part right, but of working in a place where people were being cared for with mental health issues, and that the care wasn't always so good, that there was a lot of unpleasant things that were happening. It so happened that the person who was head of this particular hospital, or it was a practicing Tibetan Buddhist, and he invited in his Tibetan teacher with some monks, and they came into a very disrupted, painful situation, a lot of individual pain. And chanted, and it completely changed the feeling in the institution. How we enter, how we be, changes the whole world. It's an act of faith. But I also think it's true. How we are today together, how we care for, doesn't mean you have to be perfect bodhisattva. Please be confused, deluded, aching, whatever you are, bodhisattva. But just the intention to be here helps us all realign with the 1,000 hands and eyes of Avalokiteshvara's heart. Does this make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to read you, okay? Because there are so many Avalokiteshvara. Dogen wrote a fascicle about it. There's a whole chapter about Avalokiteshvara, the Lotus Sutra. All of the different koan books have commentaries about Avalokiteshvara. I mean, we could spend a whole lot of time, and maybe we will sometime wandering around in them, but I wanted to read you different parts just to kind of bathe ourselves in them. Dogen says, when Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva makes an appearance, mountains and rivers on the great earth are not dead ashes. You should always remember that in the 3rd month, which is the spring in his calendar, the partridges sing and the flowers open. When Avalokiteshvara's body, vow, intention of compassion comes, everything wakes up. Dead ashes come alive. So now I'm going to read you from Shobogenzo. Number 34. The koan, maybe you've heard it before. I love this koan. As usual, it's a commentary to teachers Yunman and Dao. Yunman says, what does the Bodhisattva of compassion do with so many hands and eyes? Dao says, it's like someone reaching back for the pillow in the night. Yunyan says, I got it. What did you get? All over the body are hands and eyes. The body is alive with hands and eyes. You have said it well, but it's only 8 or 9 out of 10. And Yunyan says, I am just this. What about you, yourself? And Dawu says, wherever the body reaches, it is hands and eyes. Everything is hands and eyes. Here's a little commentary. Although there have been a number of statements about Avalokiteshvara before this, they are not as good as the statements made by these two. Dogen really likes these. If you want to study Avalokiteshvara, you should thoroughly investigate their words. The Bodhisattva of great compassion is Avalokiteshvara, one who perceives the cries of the world, and also called one who has complete freedom in perceiving. This Bodhisattva is regarded as the parent of all Buddhas. Study and focus on Yunman's words. What does the Bodhisattva of great compassion do with so many hands and eyes? Okay, Bodhisattvas, you got nose, you got mouth, you got spine, you got breath, you got beating heartbeat. Completely alive here, along with all beings. What do we do with this alive? Want to know? Oh, good, so do I. Question is, what's the appropriate response? That comes from this alive, intuitive body. I love that Suzuki Roshi called this an intuitive body. I think that's Avalokiteshvara's body. And that when we are in, take the backward step here, is we are in alignment with alive, past, present, future, 10 directions, three times, everything is right here. All we have to do is just be here. Right in the midst of this karmic conditioned body. We don't have to get over ourselves. We actually, all of your suffering, all of your confusion, all of our delusion is exactly what we need to help us be here with all of the other deluded human beings with big Buddha hearts, trying to figure out how to be happy. We just get a little self-centered about it, don't we? I got it. I was being so hopeful. What happened? Hands and eyes all over this body, alive, awake. I suppose you could say therapeutically somatic body. I think a lot about Suzuki Roshi saying, if you use just your two hands, I mean, that's a lot nice. We have to, I mean, please appreciate these two hands. But if you think they're your hands and you're doing something, you're going to miss the totality. Being able to really listen deeply and to respond moment after moment from a place of don't know mind. From a place of what does a bodhisattva of compassion do with so many hands and eyes? That's our question. The whole universe is right here. So Sandokai has been beautifully teaching us the particular and the wonder and the absolute boundlessness of everything is just this, just here. All we have to do is show up. And then we're completely who we always were. But it's also, that's when you are you, Zen is Zen. We've been doing some of these things. Is you are completely, I am completely Chris being Chris, but I don't have any idea who she is anymore. I mean, I run into her sometimes and think, oh, I recognize you, old friends. But I'm also amazed that things come through me that I didn't even know. I listen to this self a lot more these days than I listen to the old one who, trust me, runs around and complains and has lots of opinions and is irritable, and she's right here. So I'm going to read you a couple of commentaries from the koan books about Avalokiteshvara. You don't have to just listen to them. You don't have to understand them or like them or dislike them, but I just wanted to. If your whole body were an eye, if your whole body were an eye, you still wouldn't be able to see it. If your whole body were an ear, you still wouldn't be able to hear it. Don't go outside of it and turn it into something. If your whole body were a mouth, you still wouldn't be able to speak it. If your whole body were mind, you still wouldn't be able to perceive it. Because the activity of the bodhisattva of great compassion is her whole body and mind itself. It's not limited to notions or ideas of self or other. Avalokiteshvara has never understood compassion. You try to figure it out. I mean, please think about it. It's nice. Like, what is compassion? But if you think you're a compassionate person doing something compassionate to help somebody else, that's a really nice impulse. But when we know we have absolutely no idea what to do in this time, or how to do it, or how to change it. But right here, coming back, what does Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, compassion do with 1,000 hands and eyes, this intuitive body, responsive, deep listening body? We'll help each other and we'll find the way. When reaching for a pillow at night, there's an eye in the hand. When eating, there's an eye in the tongue. When recognizing people and hearing them speak, there's an eye in the ears. With willow-grown banks and flower-grown walls, on a warm day in a gentle breeze. What is it? Do you think you know what this day is? Do you think you know what spring is? If you think you know what winter is, if you think you know what anything is. Be here. Reveal itself over and over. Throughout the body, all over the body, reaching back for the pillow. They describe that reaching for a pillow in the, I love this image, is it's the arm and hand is connected to the heart. And it's reaching in the dark, and at night in sleep, it doesn't know what it's reaching for. It's an instinctive, intuitive body reaching in the dark. It's like, what is that arm of Avalokiteshvara? What are those 1,000 hands and eyes helping each other? Study the living phrase. Don't study the dead phrase. Maybe that's why we're all so upset these days. There's so many dead phrases being said. But this is a live phrase. Because if somebody says a dead phrase and then we just say a dead phrase back at them, I don't think this is gonna go well. What's an alarm? Net of jewels, the jewel net of Indra hanging down in patterns, reflections upon reflections, Indra's net. As soon as a single speck of dust arises, the whole world is contained in it. Each atom contains boundless Dharma realms. Hundreds of thousands of jewels are reflected in every individual jewel, and each jewel is reflected in hundreds of thousands of jewels. Center jewel and surrounding jewels reflect back and forth, multiplying and replying the images endlessly. This is used to illustrate the Dharma realm of no obstruction among phenomena. What if we even for a moment imagine that that's the world we live in, instead of you out there and me over here? What if it's jewels reflecting each other? What happens then? So, some of you know, I've been going to I'm gonna miss it today because I'm here, but I've been going to a little encouragement group with Rhonda McGee, who I really like, who's an African-American mindfulness teacher, and one of her assignments has been, think about people who encourage you. And to me, it feels like just this is think about a hand that encourages you. Or like pay attention to the toe. It's like, I mean, I'm using a metaphor, but there's encouragements everywhere if we pay attention to it. Instead of thinking I'm over here and you're over there, there is something radiating bigger and happening in very small and particular ways everywhere to help us. Because when we get scared, as we well know, or when we get reactive, I think we all know, we tend to get tight and contract. And I remember when I was working with veterans, Afghanistan veterans, combat veterans, I read somewhere that when trauma happens, one of the first things that go is the imagination. So it all just shuts down because you don't want to be able to imagine what could happen because you already seen the worst. Thank you very much. I don't need to. I'm not going to open that gate because all the stuff floods in. So I think we're all a little traumatized. So we need help with our imagination. And I think that's part of what Rhonda's doing is imagine, remember people who encourage you. Remember Aunt Dorothy, remember whoever you want to remember. But here's who I want to bring forward. I mentioned this last week, and I'll be doing a little bit more of it, is two of the people who came forward a lot were Martin Luther King and Thich Nhat Hanh. And Thich Nhat Hanh, Sister Chan Kwong is one of his deepest companions. She's still alive, and I wanted to, I found some things about her, and I wanted to just read you about her as ways to help us imagine and encourage. They started, Thich Nhat Hanh and Sister Chan Kwong started Plum Village together in 1982. People now come there from all over the world. And this portrait of her says that they're inspired by Thay's teaching, but to a great extent, what's happening there is also a result of Sister Fong's enduring support and untiring initiative. So gratitude to this amazing woman who has helped cultivate. And then she tells stories about Sister Chan Kwong. I'm going to tell you a couple of them, okay? This woman used to go to Plum Village and everybody was speaking in Vietnamese. She was the only English speaker there. This must have been really early on. And Sister Fong used to always come and sit next to her. And while participating wholeheartedly in the conversation, she would simultaneously translate to help. Her name is Evelyn. I savored those moments in her presence, that kindness. A couple of years ago, I noticed she'd taken on a new habit. While translating, she would keep her hands in a certain position, a mudra. And when I asked her about it, she explained she did it in order to remind herself to stay mindful when she was talking. She also strengthened my confidence that there is always a solution to any problem. One winter, I had promised to make a flower arrangement for a tea meditation in the Lower Hamlet. I looked all over and could not find a single flower. When everyone was seated in the zendo and Sister Fong was about to enter, I ran to her with an empty bowl in my hands, telling her quite unhappily that I had not succeeded in making the flower arrangements. Even before I had finished speaking, she picked up some tufts of grass that were growing along the path, added a few handfuls of pebbles from the path we were standing on, picked up a stick lying nearby, planted it in the middle, and voila. Her creation was complete and the tea meditation could begin. When we entered, she gave me a mischievous wink and whispered, "Pure nature."
What?
Pure nature, just simple. You know, it's like we think we want to save the world, we have to do something. These are stories about saving the world. She never felt that any job was beneath her. She had tireless energy for others. When she talked about the situation in Vietnam because the war was going on, then she always was wholeheartedly involved, and she cried openly. As I suffer from my own pain, I saw her suffer from the pain of others. But far more often, I saw her laughing, because she was very open to the comical aspects of a situation. This is just a human being, being a human being, enlivening all of the 1,000 arms of Avalokiteshvara. I got a couple more stories I want to share. Her way of listening was very attentive and without judging. When I spoke with her, I always felt a lot of space. She at a certain point ordained, and she said, "I am not different from you even when I am wearing other clothes and have a shaved head. There is no difference at all between us." She truly lives in the present. From moment to moment, she deals with what is coming up, and she doesn't lose energy in worrying about what may come up next, which to me is a reflection of a deeply rooted faith. And even more important, though, I think, is her compassion. She said, "My happiness is your happiness. Your pain is my pain." And it's something she truly lives. Seeing the self in the non-self is not a theory for her, but the very ground of her being. That's Avalokiteshvara's 1,000 hands in all this. Just moment after moment. Like, "Toe, how you doing down there?" "Fine." "He's fine. You practice this all day." So I'm going to close in a minute, but what I want to I decided, because we're coming to the end in Sangha, I mean, got a couple more weeks of the Sandokai. This little book, The 14 Mindfulness Trainings of Engaged Buddhism, it's in its 4th edition, 2020. The foreword is by Sister Chan Kwong. I thought that I would, it says here in the opening, spiritual practice is the basis for all social action. I completely, firmly, deeply believe. I'd say spiritual practice is the basis for all action, but if we're gonna be in the world, how do we be there? So I thought that I would, just as a kind of, you know, like when they give previews on TV about what's coming up, is I thought that to end, I would just name the 14 mindfulness trainings. Let's see. 1, openness. 2, non-attachment to views. Because I'm saying this, think of Avalokiteshvara, a live body. That's what these are. Freedom of thought, number 3. 4, awareness of suffering. 5, compassionate, healthy living. 6, taking care of anger. 7, dwelling happily in the present moment. 8, true community and communication. 9, truthful and loving speech. 10, protecting and nourishing the Sangha and the Mahasangha. 11, right livelihood. 12, reverence for life. 13, generosity. 14, true love. After each one, just say something. So let's, when we sit today, let's sit taking care of this very body that is entrusted to us in a lifetime, and which is also the body of the entire universe. Can you feel Avalokitesh? Can you feel your body as Avalokiteshvara with 1,000 hands and eyes? Can you feel it? It helps me to just remember that felt sense of what I'm coming back to, or what I'm coming home to, what this self, who is completely self-centered. But she's not as self-centered as she used to be. Who does want to, along with all of you, I keep saying this, I really miss you. What an amazing thing, we got a whole day to just do this together. So let's do the end of lecture chant. May our intention equally penetrate every being and place with the true merit of Buddha's way. Beings are numberless, I vow to take them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Fates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Sway is unsurpassable, I vow to become it.